You are listening to Power Marketing with Kevin Lee. Kevin and his agency Did It have helped thousands of businesses win through superior marketing, as have his books, articles, speaking engagements, and the E-Marketing Association Power Marketing podcasts. Here's Kevin.
I'm pleased to be with Susan Bratton, who I've known for longer than probably either of us would like to admit, who's grown an amazing publishing business in a category that has challenges that a typical marketer wouldn't face. Basically, Susan is a sexpert, and so I'd love to have her tell the origin story of how she moved from being in the advertising and media business into being in the publishing business in a category that faces some unusual challenges. So thank you, Susan.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that you're willing to broach the subject of sexuality in an E-Marketing Association podcast. So thank you for that. It's interesting that I was a hot potato, untouchable, for many, many years. I started our company 15 years ago now, Kevin. This month is our 15th corporate anniversary.
Congrats.
And thank you. And we're still here. And we've launched another company with our team as well, because about, I'm going to say 3 or 4 years ago, I said to my team, our business is going to be perennially hobbled by the publishers, by the media companies, the Facebooks, et cetera, because of our category of sexuality. And what we do is we have a publishing company that teaches people how to transform having sex into making love. We publish passionate lovemaking techniques, bedroom communication skills, and sexual health options, ideas, how to stay strong and sexually active your whole life long. Because most people find our products when they're in midlife. Because number one, they think to themselves, when you're younger, you think you know what you're doing. Well, first it's also new, you're just learning. And then you think you know what you're doing. And then you hit some rocky times, which is what got me into the business in the first place, was marital strife in the bedroom. And you realize, oh, maybe if I learned something, maybe the personal growth mindset people, maybe if I learned something, I could have a better sex life. And then you hit midlife and you think to yourself, oh, my parts aren't working as well as they used to. I have sensation loss, erectile dysfunction, vaginal dryness. So what I realized in my business was that my customer needed a 3-legged stool of information from me. So I started with the passionate lovemaking, added the communication skills, and then really got into being what I call a sexual biohacker. I'm both the CEO and the face of my brand. I started out publishing other people's work who were my mentors, who fixed my problems, and thought, why is this information? Why would people can't afford to spend $5,000 going to a workshop in San Francisco and getting naked in a big room full of sweaty, nervous people, and they're never going to do it. So how can I take what's being taught out of the workshop environment and create workshops that are delivered online, so people who want to grow their sexuality as part of their personal growth can do it? But I quickly found that the market is very inhospitable for buying media, and I couldn't scale our business. So I focused on affiliate traffic. Even SEO was quite limited and very constrained inventory and a lot of competition. And affiliate marketing worked well for me. And I've essentially become an email marketer who built their business, built my list on affiliate reciprocal cross-promotional mailings. So 60% of the revenue that I generate for my company is my own products. 40% of the revenue that I generate is from affiliate products that are products that I don't want to create, but I think are great, that you might like. And that's worked very well. But 4 years ago, I said to our organization, if we want to grow any bigger, I kept hitting $1.5 million in revenue every year, year in, year out, and thinking to myself, there's no way out of this. What am I going to do? I'm going to start a new company. What company do I want to start? What business do I want to be in? And that's when I realized the business that I wanted to be in was the supplement business. I wanted to create blood flow supplements and libido botanicals because I had been studying this sexual health category. And what I realized was that a lot of people think that their lack of desire stems from hormone imbalance. And it actually doesn't. It almost all stems from lack of nitric oxide, which diminishes the same as hormones do as we age. So I wanted to make my own supplement line and start a new company. And I said to my team, imagine that we are on a tarmac in a swamp with waters rising, and we've got a plane in parts, and we've got to assemble it and fly out of here together. Do you want to fly out together in this plane? And do you want to build it with us? And every single person in my company was like, yes, we do. Because we had built our company around using programmers in India who worked for us full time and a Filipino content team. So Tim and I are the only employees of the US company, though we have a CTO who's part-time based in Austin, Texas. And Tim is my husband of now 30 years this year. And he's the analytical, technical, the trains run on time, everybody gets paid on time, everything's pristine and analytical and perfect. And I'm here's what people need. This is the copy. This is the product. This is the offer. This is what the market doesn't even know they want. But when I tell them they want it, they'll be like, you're right. That is what I didn't realize, but that is what I need. Okay, I'll take it. So we've had a magnificent last 15 years with not only a renaissance of our own marriage, learning these techniques together, but also just having the most incredible time building a business together, and then launching a second business out of our initial business with our existing team and keeping them both running. So we launched our supplement business called the 20. So our publishing business is called Personal Life Media. And our supplement business is called the 20. It stands for the 80-20 rule, Pareto's principle. There's 20% of what you're doing that's getting the results, and 80% is wasted energy. So how do you know what gets results? We put the things that get results in the supplements, and that's why we called it the 20. And we've been successful with both. And even in a very difficult pandemic, we've been able to at least keep our business slightly growing.
That's great. And I would imagine that the supplement business, there are ways of promoting that where you're not held back and handcuffed in the same way that you were on the pure content business. But at the same time, a lot of the affiliate relationships that you've got are going to be extremely useful for the supplement business as well. So you'll be able to go into some of the traditional media channels that have been, cut off for you for so long.
That's exactly why I chose it.
Yeah. And so, on that sort of suddenly being back in traditional digital, I guess, for lack of a better term, after suddenly having that open up for you, which of the channels have you found most successful? Are you also sort of doing FBA and Amazon and doing marketplace strategies? Like what's been that marketing strategy in comparison to the pure content-based and affiliate-based strategy?
Yeah, we focused on Google and Amazon. So we have our own store, and we use Google Shopping, and we use Google Search, and we also have a really nice Amazon presence and do quite a bit of promotion on Amazon. So it's a good combination. It works very well. And we're happy to drive people to our Amazon store, even if they come to our website to check out our products. And we do run Facebook ads as well, Facebook, Instagram, as well as Google Search and PPC, Content Network, et cetera.
Great. Do you anticipate cross-selling if you're able to establish the customer relationship on the supplement side? Are you going to, once you've got that email address, which is, of course, super valuable, now you've got the permission relationship with them. So now you can sort of use that as your engine, right? Potentially for the publishing side of the business. Was that always part of your strategy?
Yes, that was the strategy, was to bring in new leads to the supplement business and then essentially have an affiliate partnership with Personal Life Media where the 20 can. And what I've done, I think I sent you an email with 30 different opt-in funnels that I have. So one of the things that we did was we really focused on email acquisition and content relationship through email marketing. Because as I said, our customers tend to be 40 plus, really 40 to 80, with 50 and 60 being very strong. I'd say 50-year-old, the 50s is our strongest category of buyers. Mm-hmm. And we thought that, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll get the leads in for the 20. They'll buy the nitric oxide, or they'll buy we have a daily multivitamin, multi-mineral complex that has methylated B vitamins for people that are poor methylators, which is very common, that people can't uptake or absorb their B vitamins. They need to have a certain type of folate and things like that. And then we put libido botanicals right in the vitamins. So we can market it as a vitamin, but we can also market it as a libido supplement, a vitamin with a little something more.
Right.
So nitric oxide and blood flow, of course, helps your brain, your heart, and all your parts. It's literally how Viagra works, is to open up your nitric oxide production and help you get blood into your genitals. And what people don't understand, that's really the thing that I think is the miracle breakthrough, if you will, of marketing for us, has been that women have as much erectile tissue in our genitals as our male-bodied partners do, and we're suffering from ED as well.
Mhm.
So having a product made from organic ingredients that women can help feel more sensation and more lubrication has really helped blow that market open. So what we do is we bring them in through whichever is the appropriate thing, a vitamin with B, methylated B, or a vitamin with libido, where we can do that, and then nitric oxide for vascular, health, or nitric oxide for genital pleasure and lubrication or erection. And then we send them an email with one of our ebooks. We have hormone balancing book. We have many different ebooks and videos that we've created that they can opt into, and that gets them onto our personal life media list. And then the 20 earns commission on the personal life media products, and then they're on that list as well, and we're marketing to them from both companies. So it's worked pretty darn well. I mean, I always want more traffic, Kevin. How much traffic do you want? A million muches, please. That's what I want every day, 24/7. Give me a fire hose. That is what I want. But
I guess what I really sort of love about your business is that almost everybody is in market at some point, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe it's just a matter of where they are in their own age or their own health level or whatever it is. But for given the population of the world and the United States, right? It's almost like you just have to be there at the right time with the right message, and they will want what you have, right?
I honestly wish that were true. You would think that. And I think that's a very common misperception of my market niche. I really think that it's about, and I'm being generous if I say 15% of people actually care about their sexuality and want to do things to support it. It's abysmally low. Most people, honestly, they just squander their sexuality. They don't understand. We have so much religious repression and societal shame and skewed information about sexuality, both through the mainstream media and pornography, that those four things are such a tsunami of overwhelming shame for people, that what I've noticed is that the minute a person hits a roadblock or an obstacle in their sex life basically just becomes non-existent, and they end up living platonically with their partner and living in misery. And because nobody's saying all of the benefits of healthy sex and all of the ways that it keeps you young and vital and beautiful or handsome and full of vitality. Your lust is your lust for life. Your libido is just the other side of the same coin of your overall health. So people who don't feel well, which is a lot of Americans now who don't feel well, their sex life is gone for them. So it's actually a smaller market than you'd think.
But can you educate them, or is the sexual repression and all the other the religious repression and all the other issues with regards to shame, is that an insurmountable barrier?
Insurmountable barrier.
Really?
You gotta fish where the fish are. I only go after the people who are in market looking for solutions. Otherwise, I get no ROI. I can't talk people into caring about their sex lives. I'm only here for the ones who do.
Right. Well, luckily that's a big enough number that you'll still have a thriving business. But I was sort of, I guess that once you start to really think about it, there is so much stigma still attached to sexual health.
Which is a shame, because
Yeah.
we need that connection. We need that touch. We need the love. We need the pleasure. We need the orgasms. We need the rebooting of our nervous systems. We need the release of oxytocin, and we need the release of all of our serotonin and our dopamine. These are all our feel goods. If everybody who was on antidepressants was just regularly held and made love to, I wonder how many would still be on antidepressants or anti-anxiety medicines. Anti-anxiety is really diminished with proper connection and pleasure. So I think there's a lot of people who are eating a lot of addictive foods and taking a lot of addictive medications to supplant the thing that we've been given as Homo sapiens on this earth in this moment.
Right. Yeah, I guess we whether you think that it was given to us by a supreme being or we evolved it, one way or another, we got some pretty interesting solutions built in.
It doesn't matter where it came from. Let's just not squander it. That's my
exactly.
motto.
Yep, exactly. It is. I mean, I guess I remain hopeful that at some point, through earned media and PR and perhaps just removal of stigma, that some people will sort of have that aha moment. Perhaps I'm overly optimistic there, but it would be great if the less reliance on self-medication through food, or self-medication through alcohol, or self-medication through pot, or getting a prescription with could be replaced by your philosophy. I think it's a great philosophy.
Yeah, well, and that's where, going back to transforming having sex into making love, that's really the key. It's that heart connection. And that's really not depicted in the media, in pornography. It's what goes missing. So the combination of the shame and the lack of intimate connection, the lack of love, is really what I am about. Is what are the tricks? And one of the great things about being a sexpert, in all honesty, is it's pretty easy to teach people how to be great lovers. It's not difficult. I always say my favorite things are little hinges that swing big doors. Anything that I can tell you that you can immediately enters your awareness and is a part of your knowledge that you can apply with zero friction, that gives you satisfaction. That's what I've always looked for, is how do I do that? Anything where you give people a quick hit, because the surface of sexuality is vast. All of the different types of sex and interest and problems. I mean, there's just a million things. There are some big ones, right? But so I have to have a lot. That's why I have 30 or 40 or 50 different inbound funnels to my business, because different people are at different stages in their life, right, and they have different questions or needs. So what I like to do is just meet you where you are and bring you in and give you things for free that add huge value. And then you're like, okay, who's this Susan Bratton? Who's this Susan Bratton lady? They used to call me girl. I think they call me lady now, Kevin.
But at least you haven't gotten to ma'am. When you get to ma'am, that's when you know you're in trouble.
Well, that's what all my Filipino employees call me. They call me Ma'am Suze, which I think is super sweet. I really appreciate it because it's a term of endearment for them.
Right.
So I've been Ma'am Suze for a long time, actually. But it doesn't really matter what it is, as long as I can gain their trust. And so because I'm in such a fear, my customers are in a fear state. They're in a state of lack. They're in a state of panic. They're in a state of shame. They're in a state of confusion. And I just have to be right here for you and give you something that helps make your world better, and then earn your trust. So very early on, there were a couple of internet marketing things that I learned. One, I learned from Eben Pagan, which was give your golden material free. And what I've learned, especially in my category, is that there's always more. Sexuality is a never-ending gift that we have to become better and better lovers. As a matter of fact, right now, one of the things that I'm working on this summer is a 15-week challenge called Come With Me, Susan Bratton's Orgasm Challenge, where I take you through the 20 kinds of orgasms that the human body can have. There's 20 that men can have, and there's 20 that women can have. And by the way, by men and women, I just mean XX and XY chromosome. I'm supportive of all gender expressions. And that every week I teach you a new orgasm technique, a new way to have orgasms. And people are like, 20? There's no way there's 20. I have 3 and I'm happy. I got 1 and I'm satisfied. And I'm like, all right, if you're satisfied, but other people are going to be doing it and they're going to be having fun. And it's been really fun because there's always more content. I never run out of things. So it's very easy for me to give away great stuff that changes your life the minute you read it and you're like, dude, I didn't even know that. How did I not know that? And then the second thing that I learned was this concept of know, like, and trust. They have to know who you are. They have to like who you are. And then you have to earn their trust before they become a buyer. And I don't know if people come on this show all the time and say those things, but they have really stuck with me as important, simplistic approaches to content marketing that have made a big difference for me.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think the importance of the know, like, and trust is probably somewhat proportional to the price point. But even for the lower price points, especially if it's something like you're going to ingest, you need it, right? Because if you're going to be taking a supplement, there's a lot of supplements, obviously, that have zero value or potentially negative value.
Yeah.
And so the trust remains an important factor there. But certainly for higher price point courseware or higher price point memberships, your 3 pillars are absolutely key. What other pillars, some of the folks who are going to watch this are going to be marketing in having different challenges as marketers than you face. So
yeah.
What other things would you recommend that a sort of more typical marketer embrace that they perhaps are not investing enough time and energy into?
I think that's more of like a where are we going trend question. What's working now type of thing. I think apps that deliver content are very interesting. I think my number 1 best-selling title of all time is a video series called the Steamy Sex Ed Video Collection. It's a series of 8 hours of video that teaches over 200 passionate lovemaking techniques. And it's made for couples to watch together. It's kind of the antidote to the crappy sex you see on TV and the degrading sex you see on pornography. That's focused on men's pleasure, not on women's pleasure. And I made it for couples to watch together, the couples that are like, all right, teach us how to have great sex. And one of the things we're moving into is an app that has, you buy the product. And because we've sold so many DVDs, Kevin, there's a lot of people. I mean, hopefully President Biden will get our infrastructure plan rolling out and Pete Buttigieg will get the broadband to rural areas. But there are a lot of people in rural areas who want to have passionate lovemaking and they don't have digital streaming, downloading of HD video. So we've done incredibly well with a DVD streaming video product that we're now moving into an app that will also have all of our other titles unlockable in app. So I'm excited about that. That's interesting. I think that's probably the biggest thing that we're pursuing right now, other than just really dialing in our Google ad spend and launching that globally in as many markets as makes sense for us to English speakers. I think that's another big piece of it is we've gotten it going well in the US. Now, how do we scale internationally? So remembering that we're global citizens and people all over the world are interested in our products. That's a big one. List hygiene. I mean, I am still at my core, tear away all the fluff. I'm an email marketer. And luckily my customer base is still on email. My young kids are not. They're on Instagram. They're not on Facebook anymore. They're on Instagram and they use their DMs and they use WhatsApp. That's what they use.
So obviously for email marketers, there are some things coming down the pike that are actually making it a little bit more difficult.
Always.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the deliverability issue was always something we always had to deal with as big email marketers. But I think now with Apple sort of no longer allowing for the measurement of the opens and proxying things and blocking things. that used to be a big part of list hygiene for some email marketers. Other email marketers wouldn't use those KPIs for list hygiene, but a lot of them did.
Mhm.
So do you have a particular strategy to deal with sort of that, or the evolution of list hygiene?
Well, one of the biggest issues we've been struggling with this year is that spammers are poisoning our opt-ins.
Hmm.
And we hadn't had double opt-in because we were trying to reduce friction to sign up. And we've had to go through and make everything double opt-in. And we've had to quarantine vast amounts of our list and slowly onboard them one by one by one by one so we don't get shut down. We use Return Path for email deliverability, and that's a very helpful service that we subscribe to. But the spammers poisoning other marketers' lists is something that I think a lot of people are really blind to how bad that is and what that's doing to their lists. So that's the area that we've noticed because we're so on top of it. We don't use an ESP. We can never use any SaaS products. We have to buy and run all our own tech, because we'll work with someone and they'll be like, oh, no, it's no problem. Your content is fine. And then they're acquired and they're like, oh, sorry, got to kick you off.
Right.
So we have zero trust for any kind of SaaS. So for us, it's always been build it ourselves, buy and build, manage everything ourselves. And that's been our biggest challenge this year, has been list poisoning by spammers who are trying to reduce the overall rate of all deliverability of all marketers so they can get their emails delivered.
Wow.
Are you hearing conversations about this?
I mean, I think it was a topic of conversation at one point that there's an email list which you may be on, only influencers. You're on that list.
Oh,
It used
no,
to be
no,
run
no.
by Bill McCloskey, and then
Oh.
he sold it. But look it up. Only influencers. It's exclusively email people.
Oh.
So it's I believe there was a conversation on there at some point around that. It's similar to the conversations that are less frequent now in the SEO business about negative SEO. It used to be that negative SEO actually worked pretty well as a to nuke your biggest competitors in the search results. It was so abused, obviously, that Google had to move away from the disavow tool and actually build the AI just to be smarter and automatically disavow, because you could tank. It used to be you could tank your competitors with negative SEO. It's still possible to have some impact, but it was so abused that I think Google sort of realized that the byproduct of their whole disavow platform was that the people who didn't know enough to know how to use it ended up becoming the victims, right? Yeah. And so that wasn't fair to anybody. So I guess it's happening in email as well. But one has to be aware of what the competition is doing that might be black hat or otherwise damage your brand, damage deliverability, et cetera.
Yeah.
An idea came to me as you were talking about apps. I mean, certainly there are some apps in weight loss in particular that have attempted to use a combination of sort of behavioral techniques and gamification, like Noom, right, to run subscription businesses, right? So given the vast amount of content that you have, you could probably fill up over a year's worth of daily challenges. And it sounds like they come with Susan, or I can't remember what it was. That sounds like that would fit into an app where you sort of get a daily challenge, right? And it could be delivered via email, could be delivered via app, could be delivered via push notification, et cetera. So had you thought about that for your app to sort of maybe use that and add gamification to it at all? There
are some out there already, and I don't see them as being particularly successful, and they look reasonably well done. So I don't think it's an easy market.
Right. Interesting.
One of the things that flashed in my mind that I wanted to tell you about, what was it? You were talking, I didn't want to interrupt you about something with the apps and gamification. Oh, it'll come back to me. I don't remember. I don't remember what it was. Oh, I know what it was. Yeah. I've probably written, I don't know, a couple thousand articles over the last 15 years, more than that, thousands and thousands of articles. And I got sick with COVID in March of 2020.
Yes, I remember.
And I had a relapse in April that gave me long haul COVID. And I've really never come back from it yet. And my team, my content team, was able to just reuse all the content that we have had for year in, year out for 15 years, picking our favorites and best things. And I didn't have to work that whole time I was too ill. And we were able to just reuse our content. And that was something that I really think we content marketers get on these content creation jags, and we're always creating content, but we're really not leveraging our content in myriad ways well enough. So I do think that's another little gem of advice is you're sitting on such a gold mine. How do you leverage more of that? For me, it's difficult because I'll get shut down on Instagram if I write about sexuality. So I really only use it as a kind of a way for you to understand who Susan Bratton is as a person. Pretty pictures of Susan is more like Instagram for me. Facebook, I've really never invested in building my Facebook strategy. I have Facebook pages. We have followers. We syndicate the content onto Facebook, but not a lot of it because in a heartbeat, we could get shut down. On YouTube, I've produced over 200 videos, got to over 70,000 followers. And then YouTube, I mean, the writing's on the wall for me with that because they can't monetize my content because it's, 18 plus, even though it's as sweet as I can make it, it's still about sexuality. Yeah. And so I know they're going to kick me off as soon as their earnings go to shit, whenever that is, they're going to kick a bunch of people off who they can't monetize. So the writing's on the wall there. So I replicated my entire YouTube channel at betterlover.com. And though I'm about to drop another dozen videos, finally, after 2 years, I had to take a 2-year hiatus because of COVID. And I'm about ready to drop a dozen new videos. I'm doing the best work I've ever done in my life, which is great, but I'll put them on YouTube. But I'm investing all my content on betterlover.com and SEO on that, et cetera, et cetera. That's an area of weakness that we've had as SEO. We've just never done a good job with it. And I'd love to say I wish we'd done a better job, but I also think we've put our priorities in the places where we could have the greatest effect with the time that we have. And there's only so much time in the day when you're a 21st century mom and pop shop like Tim and Susan Bratton are.
I mean, my advice from an SEO perspective is really much more of a control the SERP as opposed to specific domain focus. Like we continue to obviously focus on our clients' domains and getting those to rank. But the reality is in certain categories, especially if you've got a late start, you've got a tremendous amount of catching up to do to rank on anything that's a power keyword. Yeah. So you end up, even if you work your way from the tail to the head of the search distribution, it's a long slog. So as a result of influencer relationships, digital PR and affiliate relationships, sometimes you can end up taking over considerable chunks of the SERP, even if it's not a direct link to you, and even if you end up having to pay somebody a commission. So that holistic view of the entire search results page and owning as much of that in a positive way as possible usually sort of will tide the domain over until it can finally get enough of its own momentum to start ranking for things that are important. But people want immediate results even in SEO, which is a marathon, right? I mean, PPC is more of a sprint. You may overspend as you optimize, et cetera, but you can at least sort of see the light at the end of the tunnel very quickly. SEO, even if you think about it holistically, is much more of a marathon. So, and I think, there may be opportunities for you within the digital PR and PR space. You've got a ton of it already. And obviously your continued book publishing is really helpful from that perspective. Once people are willing to have in-person speakers again, right? I still think that there's going to be opportunities for you to use speaking engagements, not only as a way to reach the people in the direct audience, but to create content in a way that's audience engaged as opposed to just talking head. So
well, I really like that you say that, because when I recovered from COVID, I have relationships with 2 brands that I'm an influencer of. I went to them and said, I love what you do so much. I would like to be a spokesperson for you, an official company spokesperson for you. One of them was a company called Gainswave out of Florida, and they have a technology that allows you, it's actually really good. I highly recommend you do this. It's a sound, it's called shockwave technology, but it sounds worse than it is. It sends energy into the tissue of the penis to stimulate new tissue and nerve and blood vessel growth. Because as we age and our vascular system diminishes, we lose the blood flow to the penis. And this re-stimulates everything, so you get more blood carrying capacity to the penis. And I've had a fantastic relationship with them. The second company that I work with is a company called the Dr. Joel Kaplan Company. They make vacuum erection devices, which are penis pumps. And penis pumps was one of those very low trust categories, because the people who had experience with it bought a novelty item from China in an adult store, used it twice, hurt themselves in it, and thought it was stupid. So they needed someone who would legitimize the efficacy of their product. And I've had such a fantastic relationship with both of them that recently the pump company gave me a large bonus, which I then spent on hiring a PR firm. And now that I'm recovering from COVID enough, what I focus on is that I've been on hundreds of podcasts. I've been on hundreds of summits, those online telesummit. They used to be called telesummits. Now they're just called summits, the summits. And I write articles for publications, and I do TV shows. As a matter of fact, I was on a TV show last week in Austin, Texas via Zoom with funny little props and things. I've got a little Barbie I'm holding up and her little Ken doll. And I'm doing television again, but doing it, of course, from the comfort of my beach house, which I really love. That's awesome. And I recently, yesterday, sent an email to the biohacking conference, a conference that I have wanted to speak at for years. I got on the keynote stage, and it's in friggin' Florida. And I'm just not going to go. I'm immune compromised from already having COVID. I can't have it again. And it's a disaster down there from everything I read. And so I had to say, I'm sorry, I can't do an in-person. And I think in-person is it's going to be a while for in-person. But what I found with all of those things, what I noticed before the pandemic was that when I would do meet and greets, wherever I would travel, I would always have, hey, I'm going to be in Melbourne. I'm going to be in Ibiza. I'm going to be in wherever. And I'm having a meet and greet. Come to this bar at this time. I would send it out to my list and my socials. I'm buying you a drink. Come and get your picture taken with me, kind of thing.
Right.
And I was always surprised at how everybody who showed up found me on a podcast or a summit or saw me speak from a stage. And when I finally got my energy back and said, what else do I want to do that's going to have a powerful effect on getting those lifetime loyal people who want to buy everything I sell? That's what I wanted to do. So you're really spot on.
Yeah.
With the PR.
Great. Well, I look forward to watching you continue to crank out the content, because certainly there's no shortage of passion that you have for the category. It sounds like you found your calling, and you're unstoppable basically from that perspective. Because
I like to say I'm orgasm powered, Kevin.
Okay, well, everyone has their own power, right? You may have to take the occasional break to refresh your tank, Well, thanks so much. We'll definitely stay in touch.
Good. Thank you so much for having me and being willing to have a sexpert on the E-Marketing Association podcast. I say shout out to all of our mutual friends. Miss and love you all. And if you're a marketer listening to this, I wish you all the best of most success. Marketing is a very fantastic field. So I'm glad you're here with us.
Great. Thanks so much.
Kevin Lee's Power Marketing is available on all your favorite podcast networks. Kevin loves helping businesses excel at marketing. Having marketing challenges? Just like Santa in The Miracle on 34th Street, if Kevin can't help you, he'll know someone who can. Find him on LinkedIn, subscribe, or follow.